everyone. How you doing? Ravens fans, Oriole fans, thank you for joining us this week for the Ravery Sports Podcast for fans like me. If you like the Ravery Sports Podcast and all of it and get value, like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, well, X. I keep saying Twitter. I keep saying Twitter. X and Facebook. So definitely that is the podcast is airing every week, usually on Wednesday, right around 8 o'clock. We go ahead and drop the podcast for you every week around that time. Definitely check us out on all of our social media platforms. Couple things in the business that's going on. Genesis Notary Services / Facebook.com. Definitely that is my notary business. If you live in the Shenandoah Valley area, we are available for you. We'll go ahead, we'll take your documents and our expertise. We'll go ahead and stamp those documents for you. We'll be happy to go ahead and do it. Definitely, you can book a time right on Google, right on our website. Definitely go ahead and do that as well at Genesis Notary Services / Facebook.com. We are Legal Shield. So definitely that's Legal Shield. Let me tell you something. Business owners, if you're out there and you need any legal help with your business, if you're a business owner and you want to provide a benefit package to your employees, Legal Shield is absolutely the way to go ahead and do that for you. So definitely you could go ahead and get down there at that email address. It's at the bottom of this, at the website rather. It's at the bottom of the stream. C Charles Harris. We are LegalShield.com. So definitely you could go ahead, hit us up. Definitely, I'm telling you, the value in this is unbelievable. I say that every week. It is true every week. I mean, the cost of calling a lawyer compared to this, the only thing I think with that is people don't really know about it and they don't really understand it. Once they understand it, I've never had anybody say they didn't love it. So definitely check that out as well. Check out our website so you can get a Ravens jersey just like the one I have on. This is from my personal collection, but the Ravens jersey, the Ravens jersey, ravorisports.company.site. If you don't see it on the email, you don't see it, you can hit us up at ravorisports@gmail.com. Also, any other business inquiries as well, ravorisports@gmail.com. Also, too, as well, on our LinkedIn page, go ahead, put in Ravery Sports at LinkedIn. All right. Got the business out the way. Now let's get to the business of football, the National Football League. All right. So we're getting now in the offseason. Now we're going to talk about the draft. So last week we talked about the free agency. Lots of discussion last week, especially about the running backs. So definitely that seems to be heating up out there. So, but definitely too, the other way to improve your team in the offseason is what the Ravens are known for and best at, the draft. So the draft targets. And so we're going to talk specifically about this. We're going to do a mock draft next week. We're going to do a Ravens mock and we're going to do a full league mock as well, first round. But we're going to talk specifically about targets. Okay. So what do the Ravens need? We went over the team needs. We talked about cornerback, etc., running backs and things like that. What are the things in the draft that the Ravens would be looking at in the draft? Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, what the Ravens might be looking at in the draft. So in the draft, we're going to look at some positions. So I think it's well known that the Ravens' top need, I think, what they're going to be for sure looking at is offensive line, specifically offensive tackle as well. Now, if you look at the free agents, it was very, very light. You had Mekhi Becton. I made a mistake last week too, correct that. Jonah Williams does not play for the Rams. He plays for Cincinnati. So very, very light. So you would think that the Ravens would go here in the draft. So here are some of the names here that you may see in the draft for the Ravens. Let's go over pretty much a lot of the guys that you'll see here in round one. We'll do round one here, and then some of these guys in the list we'll see 2, 3, but early rounds. Not too late in the draft here, but early rounds. Who are they targeting early here? Joe Alt for Notre Dame. His dad was an offensive lineman many years for the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Alt is easily the number one guy. Um, you know when an offensive lineman is good when you pancake a guy and then you just go to the next guy and pancake that guy. You see a lot that with Joe Alt. A tremendous athlete. Probably the best athlete of the group. Kid has great foot speed, runs under 5. Offensive lineman being over 300 pounds. Phenomenal athlete, Joe Alt. I don't think there's any question about it. He is he's the first one. Fascinato from Penn State, number 2. And these rankings are pretty much the way I see it. This is not a hard board here, but pretty much here early on what I see it as. He's about he's number 2. He's really good. I think he's probably ready to start pretty much on most teams. Maybe not plug and play in every situation right away. I think it depends on the scheme. More of a pass blocker. So I think that's important. He could probably play left tackle for somebody pretty much right away. Has great balance. That's the thing I saw over and over with him. So he's a guy definitely he could play on the left side as well. Pretty good as a run blocker as well. Pretty good. High. J.C. Latham from Alabama. He was better than I thought he was, actually. He's really big. He's like 360 pounds. So I'm thinking, so what you think of like as a guy throwing like maybe a Daniel Falele, like a right side, a big mauler, things like that. Very good pass blocker. Very good. Very good all around. You worry about his weight a little bit, his total athleticism, but he's very gifted. I like him a lot. It wouldn't shock me if he went early, top 15. You never know. I don't think he goes past that. I think like the more I see of him, the more I like him. I actually didn't have him as high when I first did the list, but the more I saw it, the more I liked of him. He's at 3. These names Fusaga. I'm gonna do the last name. Fuaga from Oregon. I have him as tackle number 4, guard tackle. I've heard some you might kick him in the guard. I could see that somebody doing that. I think he's more of a right tackle on his side. I don't think he's going to start, or at least not right away, a left tackle. I think he's more of a right tackle. Good bend, really handles the run, plays the one well. That's why I think maybe somebody will kick him in the guard, but I think he could definitely play right tackle, well over 300 pounds. Tyler Guyton, pretty good as well from Oklahoma. Very good at the point of attack. I really like him as well. Not as good of an athlete, I think, as the guys ahead of him, but definitely a lot of strength. Definitely a lot of strength there. Tyler Guyton, number 5. Jordan Morgan from Arizona. He's definitely going in the first round. A lot of people have the Ravens mock for Jordan Morgan. I think they'd be happy to have him, too. I think he's somebody you could go ahead and put him in at either tackle spot. Solid all the way around. I like him. Solid all the way around. Not a phenomenal athlete, but solid all the way around at a high level at a good conference. So I got no problem with this. Amarius Mims is great, is a tremendous prospect. I think athletically, he's probably number 2 behind Joel. Why is he down here? He's kind of raw. He hasn't really played much. So yeah, that's a thing. How much has he actually played? I think you could be getting a guy who's generational talent though, but it's still tough to tell. He's really only played 1 season, really. So tough to tell. Maybe he hasn't done some things yet. Still maybe a learning process for him. Guard is definitely a spot they're going to be looking at early as well. I think the Ravens, not even in first round as well, but in the second round, they're definitely going to be looking at that third round. Third round at this spot, at this team, you possibly can find a starter in the first 3 rounds. Not like a lot of positions. Usually like wide receiver, tackle, probably you're not getting a guy who could start right away. At guard, you definitely can. Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. Easy number 1 center in this draft. I think maybe it depends on where he goes. If a team already has a center, he could start at guard. I think he's the best center, though. I think he's not as good as a Linderbaum, but definitely you could put him in at either guard spot if you're the Ravens. The Ravens would be looking at guard and probably not center. But definitely he's the only one I think here for sure. I think that's going to go in round 1. I can't imagine that he drops. Troy Fanatu, some people have him as a late one here, as maybe a guard tackle. I kind of see him more as a guard, more of a guy that's technically sound there. I have him as a 1-2. Christian Hayes, that's a second round prospect. I see him a lot of boards. I think he's a little bit of a work in progress as well. A little bit of a work in process, but kind of like Mims, the upside there, I really see a lot of upside. The upside is tremendous. Got a lot of raw ability. Here's a guy, plug and play, Cooper Beebe. Outstanding prospect here. Really like him. Now, he's a road grade is the word. Really strong, really powerful, excellent, tremendously strong. If you want to play him at right guard right now, you absolutely can do that. But he'll never play tackle. I don't see it. That's why he's probably in the third round. But he absolutely second or third round, but he absolutely can play that. Chris Mahogany, last on the list, second, third round-ish for Boston College. Kind of put him into Christian Hayes. A little bit of a potential thing here. Good athlete. Good athlete he is. That's about there for that. Corner. I legitimately think the Ravens could be looking at a corner. I don't know if I think if the board falls to them and it's one of these guys that they like, I absolutely think they'll pull the trigger on it. Marlon, they should bring back, and Brandon Stevens was phenomenal last year, but you're losing a lot of your second tier guys, your nickel guys, etc. So definitely, I think they're looking at it here. Terran Arnold, I think, is a no-brainer. He's the best corner, I think, on the board. Definitely, if he's a guy, he shouldn't be around when the Ravens are picking, but definitely he's outstanding. Nate Wiggins is tremendous. I really think they're pretty close. I think people are kind of sleeping on him. Most of the stuff I've seen, you got Arnold ahead of Wiggins. I don't think there's much separating these two guys. These two guys are really good. Kool-Aid! But I couldn't wait to say it. Yeah, if you grew up in the 80s, you got to have Kool-Aid commercial. Couldn't wait to say Kool-Aid McKinstry. I don't know how much Kool-Aid he actually drinks, but he's very good on the field. Top 10. I don't think he's a top 10. I think this is probably a shot if the Ravens actually get it. I don't think he'll drop the 30, but I think he's definitely first round. Definitely a guy you could put in and start right away. A little bit bigger, stronger than these other two guys. Not quite as I don't think he has quite the speed as Arnold and Wiggins, but he's really good. Quinyon Mitchell is a name I see driving up draft boards. It's interesting to see how he does at the combine. A guy like this could go up the draft boards and really a guy could really go up the draft boards and do well and get squared away. But I don't love him early. I think he's more of a second round guy. I think he needs to develop. I don't think you could put him in right away and play full time on the outside. But Kamari Lassiter again, same, probably played at a bigger school with talent as well. Played against a lot of good wide receivers in the SEC. Not this position, not quite as strong. Those last two, I think definitely the Ravens. Those are probably what the Ravens are going to be left with in at 30. At 30, if they are still picking 30, barring a trade or whatever. But I think they're looking too hard at two of those guys. I got no problem with that, with those two, because they don't have to start right away and do that. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes there. Two very interesting prospects, especially at the bottom. Three, the first three are very good. Cornerback class, not as good. Wide receiver, man. Now, this is a big difference from last year, where we didn't have many good wide receivers in the first round. Obviously, we got Zay Flowers, who's going to be our number one receiver. But, a lot of the first-round receivers were kind of You definitely have them this year. Marvin Harrison, I hate to say Jerry Rice, but Jerry Rice. That's what I see when I see him. He glides when he runs. He has every trait: speed, power, durability. I don't see a flaw at all. He's going to start. He's better than a lot of the receivers already in the league. He's that good. I believe he's probably best player in the draft outside of Caleb Williams. probably him and Marvin Harris. In terms of just, if I was Mel Kiper and I was doing a number grade, he gets the highest one. No question about it, along with either him or Caleb Williams. Roma Udeze would be a number one pick, be the best receiver in last year's draft and a lot of drafts. But he's number 2. Why was Michael Penix so good? He's got great receiver here to throw to. He's pretty complete as well. I think he's a starter right away as well. Love his hands. Love how he catches the football. That's a thing. That seems like elementary, like with receivers. But like he can, like some guys like have the speed, have all the measurables. This guy is outstanding. Has outstanding hands. Not quite a Larry Fitzgerald. I'm not going to go that far. He's in that category. I mean, he definitely can catch the ball with great hands. Malik Neighbors is outstanding as well. Played with Jalen Daniels at LSU. I think he's really good. These 3 are top 10 guys. Malik Neighbors definitely, he's not going to get out of the top 10. It'd take a miracle for the Ravens to get it, but definitely, I do think there is a universe where I think if you trade up or something like that, they couldn't be unhappy with these guys. More middle first round. Keon Coleman, I think, is definitely going in first round, probably in the middle, late-ish, 15, 16-ish, maybe a little bit later, depending on if teams move up. I think somebody may move up to get him, but he's really good. Caught passes from Jordan Travis like that. I don't know about the route running. Now we're into the area where it's not as sure about the route running. Sometimes, a lot of times with receivers, it's tough to tell. But he was wide open a lot. I know that at Florida State, so he's really good. Brian Thomas for LSU. Not only did he have Jay Daniels had 1, Brian Thomas, I think, is going in the first round. This is a big, strong, physical receiver, old school. Had this been years ago, he'd be higher than best, but he's a bit old school to me, but he's really good. I really like Brian Thomas, but I think he's more of a late first as well. These 2 guys, I think, are definitely early first, second. Ladd McConkey for Georgia. Ladd McConkey, I see a lot of Julian Edelman with him, a lot of Wes Welker with him. Catches it in traffic, so that's a great thing. I think that's the best trait. The only trait, that's the only negative, though. Why are you always in traffic? Why aren't you separated more? But I think he's Wes Welker. You could put him in the slot right away. That's what you get. Troy Franklin has every measurable you want. But he's a little green. I kind of like this high upside, downside. We don't know about his route running. We know he has blazing speed. We know he's 6 feet tall. You know all those things. You know he's used to playing with a good quarterback. You know all those things. But it's still a little. He's kind of slender. Needs to fill out a little bit. We'll see about Troy Franklin. Good receiver group, though, I would say. Best player available before we get to the other positions. Now, these are like Ravens, right player, right price. Best player available. So these are huge positions of need. But these are positions I think they would take. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback early at all. So they have Lamar Jackson. I think you could kind of scratch those guys out. I don't think they're going to do it under any circumstances. But I think these guys, if they're there, they'll actually look at it. Brock Bowers, I think, is a tremendous tight end. I'm not in love with him like everybody else seems to be, but he's pretty good. I mean, he's definitely first round quality. I kind of concerned that he could kind of slip more than people think. He's got the grades and everything like that. I don't think teams are going to take a tight end that high. I don't think it would shock me if he slipped a little bit later. I don't love the tackles in this class as much. I think the 2 Zoran Newton, I think he's the best one. I definitely think it depends on what happens with Matabuke. So this could be absolutely a Matabuke replacement if they can't sign him as well. I think this becomes a bigger deal if they can't sign him. I don't know if he's going to be there, but this guy slices up the inside. So definitely the inside pass rush, this guy's going to give that to you. Kind of small, both of these guys. I'll even go to Brian Murphy. I kind of have the same thing with him. They kind of wreck games in college a lot with the inside pass rush ability. They obviously can stop the run well, but they're 3 technique and they're not huge. So I don't know. I think both of these guys, honestly, I think they're kind of better served on I'm gonna use the Squealers for example. Like an outside, like a 3-4 in would serve these guys like best. They'd be very, very, very good guys to have in that situation. And Cooper DeJean, how many years has Kurt Ferenz kicked out great defensive players? Always at least one or two in the first round. I think he's more of a safety as a corner, even though he's played corner. You could probably put him at corner, but I think he's that one, kind of like Brian Branch was last year. You could put him at either position. Pass rushers, Dallas Turner. I think it's Dallas Turner and those other guys. He's way ahead. Dallas Turner, I think he's definitely a top 10 talent for Alabama. Reminds me a lot of Peter Boulware as well. Very talented, very talented. Great speed. I think he's the one that has multiple pass rush skills. That he can bull rush and he can edge rush as well. So I like Dallas Turner a lot. Jared Verse, I think, is 2. I don't know if he's good as number 3. Like I alluded to. I think he may fall because he has injuries before he has a real medical issue. So I don't know how teams are going to view him, but he really has a lot of talent. But I think Versa may go higher because of that. But Lalutu is really, really good. Speed rusher, both of these guys. Braylon Trice, I think, is number 3. Is number 4. He's pretty good as well. Overall solid. That's kind of like the vibe I get from whenever I see him. He's like overall solid pass rusher. I think probably the run and probably like I don't think just pass rush with him, kind of like a complete guy. Chop Robinson. I don't love him as much as other people do. I've heard a lot of good Chop Robinson, but I think the production is there. So I think he's pretty good as well. And Chris Braswell from Alabama. So that was a great tandem they had, right? You got 2 guys in the first 2 rounds there for Alabama. Outside linebacker. I have outside linebacker. Both of those guys also could play DN. For the Ravens' perspective, maybe running a 3-4 still outside linebacker. I have that. Last group, running back. If they don't sign Saquon Barkley or whatever, or Henry or Jacobs or Gus Edwards even, running back's a need. Running back is very weak, very weak. I think these are the 3. Honestly, I think the only 3 that are going to help you right away. I think other people have Trey Benson higher. I have Corum. I saw him too much last year. He's terrific. Ray Rice is what I'm seeing. I didn't see a lot of catching out of the backfield. I didn't see that. So that's kind of why I think he's really kind of small, fire plug. So I think like he's going to find running the ball. You're not going to have a problem with him. That's not it. So he definitely can run the ball and get a lot of yards. Trey Benson is a little higher. I have him a little bit lower. I don't think he's a good running back. I don't think he's as good as Blake Corum. I will say this: Trey Benson, like Alvin Kamara, after contact, some guys like the contact. That's a great trait for a running back to have. After contact, he's definitely got that. Jonathan Brooks, I think he's a little bit behind these guys. I kind of see a little bit of Gus Edwards of him. Not a complete back, but you can put him straight line. That's what he can do. So I definitely think if they're looking for that type of player, that's definitely a guy they're going to look at. Not a lot here at running back. So keep that in mind. There you go. Targets. So those are just some of the names that the Ravens may be drafting in the draft. So I looked at a lot of these guys. Offensive tackle is a strength in this draft. So we definitely can look at that. Guard as well. Definitely. So the line help that they need, a lot of it is in this draft. So that's something that they definitely can look at. The rest of it, you never know how it goes. Corner, safety, a lot of those are positions that fall to like late first round. So we'll see how that goes. See what they do early in the second round. All right. Let's shift to basketball. Terps and Indiana. So let's talk a little Terps basketball. This is going to be the last home game. This is why we're highlighting it. So Terps 15-13. As you're watching this now, as we're recording this, Terps should be playing right now against and actually not as we're recording, but as this is doing its first airing against Northwestern. So we'll see. That record might be different depending on like if you're at the game. I think the game started at 7. So they're going to play Boo Booey and Northwestern. So it's an outstanding game there. Should be outstanding. Boo Booey is terrific for that as well. Terps, they're good defensively. Against Rutgers, I think they were good. Rutgers is kind of in the same boat. They seem to do well on the road, which is odd. They seem to be playing better on the road. I don't know why. I mean, they're winning a lot of these road games in conference, but they can't. But they're having trouble at home. Going against the Hoosiers. So the Hoosiers beat them earlier in the year, but they've lost this one. But they lost earlier in the year. But the Hoosiers beat them. So let's see if the Terps can rebound. Khalil Ware, probably their best player, I think. He's probably the one guy I think that kind of matches up with Zach Edey in the conference. He's bigger than anybody Maryland has. It's going to be effective. The Terps actually tried to. They actually went back to their old lineup. So mandatory, they've set him back on the bench. So that's a big difference here against Indiana with all that size that they have. Malik Renal, I think I'm saying that right. 16 and 6-point rebounds. Nice work. Definitely, he's been their scorer for them. He's definitely a guy that's really been able to go ahead and do well for them this year. Look, they've needed starter production. Their bench production. Part of the reason the Hoosiers record looks the way it looks is they got no bench production. They got no bench production, so they needed their starters to actually do that. Their starting five is very good, but they're getting almost nothing for the bench on offense at all. Trey Galloway, 10.8 points a game, 4.3 rebounds. He's setting the tone for them. He's their floor general. I think he's a more traditional point guard. I don't think there's anything. I mean, people don't even like hearing that nowadays. But I think when I see him play, his head is up. He's looking down the field, and he's looking mostly for Randall Ware to go ahead and get the ball to a lot. Decent enough shot, not a great shooter by any stretch, but more of a traditional point guard as well. So keep that in mind as well. Two teams here are not good offensively. They're like third. Maryland's like second to last in the Big Ten. Indiana's third to last in the Big Ten. Only ahead of Rutgers, who the Terps just beat. So defensively, offensively, this is not going to be a game where you're going to have 90 points and all that other stuff. This is going to be defensive struggle, guys in each other's face. The guy I think the best offensive player in this game is no question Jahmir Young, who should be Big Ten All First Team for sure. I don't know if he gets Big Ten Player of the Year. He's definitely on the first team. He definitely should get some consideration. We will see if he gets that. He's been terrific all season. I think there's no way you have a winning record at all without Jahmir Young. No NIT, no anything with that. And they still do have a small shot at the tournament, but you got to win out. You got to win some games in the Big Ten tourney. Dante Scott, other people seem to like him more than I like him. He's pretty good. Scott, I think is again, along with Julian Reese, who's pretty good. 11.5, 5-point rebounds. Julian Reese, 14 and 9. Reese, I think, has more offensive potential than Dante Scott. But it's a tick more. They kind of go as Jahmir Young goes. So like if and I keep saying that, but there's no other way to say it. Like if Young is having a good night, they kind of feed off him. Reese, I think, is a little more capable. We saw it a little bit in the Rutgers game. He's a little more capable of doing it on his own, but not a lot. He's got nobody's capable of putting them on the back except Jahmir Young. So I think this would be very interesting to see. Look, Terps have a shot here of going to the NIT, still have a shot of going to the tournament. They have to win out, have to do that. These two teams, as of this recording, identical records. 15 and 13, 7 and 10 in the conference. So it's not dead yet. So go ahead and keep the faith. Not ready to fire Kevin Willard yet. I will say he's not. I wouldn't call him the most respected coach in the Big Ten. Let's just call that. He's not as bad as Juwan Howard, who's probably going to be fired. But definitely an opportunity here. So, game against Northwestern, game against Indiana. This will be the last game, last chance for the seniors to play at home. Jameer Young, Dante Scott, and those guys, the last time you get a chance to see them play. So we will definitely be monitoring that and checking that out as well. All right, let's shift to NBA here. I was going to talk about this anyway, but this kind of happened as I was seeing this earlier. So Bronny James, ESPN, has been moved to the 2025 mock draft because they don't believe he's going to come out in this one. So I think he's ranked 39th at the ESPN mock draft and not in this one as well. This is very fascinating. I think this is very interesting. I did put the Twitter question out there as well because I kept seeing this. Do you fans out there think that Bronny James is going to get drafted by the Lakers? Yes, just a yes or no. Do you think that Bronny is going to get drafted by the Lakers? I looked at it and I've said most of the fans on the Twitter poll and most of the responses that I got were saying no, they don't think so. I think you guys are wrong. I think like it was almost a trick question because the question was, do you think he'll get drafted by the Lakers? Right? What I think people hear when they hear a question like that is Bronny James ready to play for the Lakers and play significant minutes with the Lakers? Absolutely not. He's not ready for that. There's no universe for that. But is he going to get drafted by the Lakers? I absolutely think so. I absolutely think so. I think if LeBron wants it, I think it's going to happen for several reasons. A couple things here. Let's talk a little bit about LeBron James. LeBron here, I think, put this out here a few years ago. I would say this. I don't think, and I don't know him at all. Obviously, I don't know LeBron James. But I don't know how serious he was when he said it because he's 40 years old. So I didn't think he would think that maybe he's still playing or he's still playing at his age, doing what he's doing. So it's kind of unbelievable that he's still playing in the league at as high a level as he is. So that's the one remarkable thing that's happened. So that is unbelievable. He's 40 years old and he's possibly looking for a 3-year extension. And it's kind of hard not to give him one because he's still a very good player. The team isn't as good as it was. The Lakers aren't as good, but we'll see. I think it's still, you get somebody else and him, you get a third superstar go along with Davis. You might have to do that. But that's what makes this interesting. I can't remember a father and son in the NBA on the same team at the same time. Why do I think this is going to happen? Bronny James is a good enough player to spend a second-round draft pick on for the Lakers. I think this is actually harder if he had lived up to full expectation. If he had been a first-round pick, top 15, top 20, then that makes it more difficult. But I've seen Bronny James play a couple times. I haven't watched a lot of UFC, but lately I've been I've kind of liked it. He's not a great player, but I don't think there's a lot they would lose by picking him in the second round, picking him 56. I mean, I don't think there's a problem. So definitely he could go play for the Lakers next year and sit the bench. Now, is that the best informed? Should he continue in USC? Maybe. Should he probably not play in the D League or whatever, or sit the bench all year? Maybe. I don't know. But he's definitely good enough for them to spend a second round pick on. I don't see why that is. College basketball all the way around, as far as players, it's tough to tell. Zach Edey has been dominant for the last 2 years. He's like at 56. So the top 3 players in the draft looks like here, as far as mock draft, they're from France. So if they pick him 56 or 57, to me, it's not a big deal. And I think they can easily do that. If that's really what LeBron and Bronny wants. Is he good enough to play? No, not at all. He probably actually, if his last name wasn't James, probably I would tell him to stay 4 years and develop. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to draft him late. They're going to take a second round pick. Or if they don't have, I haven't even looked if they're for sure even have a second round pick. But they're gonna do that, and they're gonna pick him late. I think it's definitely, if it helps them sign LeBron, which I'm sure they really want to do, re-sign LeBron to go with Anthony Davis, and he's gonna get picked in the second round. Now, again, just speculating, but I don't think it's unlikely as people think it is, because the fact that he's at the level he is makes it easier to sign. But that's kind of where I sit with that. It'd be interesting to see actually what happens in the offseason. Good to see him even on the court, considering the issue that he had. Let's shift to baseball here. And gonna go over right fielders. I can say this. This is the best position in baseball in terms of talent, in terms of a list, in terms of this list here. We're gonna do DH next week, where it's not the same. But this one here, you got, I would say, what MVP conversation is all through this thing, not just at number one. I mean, several guys definitely can go ahead and win MVP here in right field. So definitely, it's a thing here. We're getting close to the end of the list here, because we're getting close to the regular season. We're going to find out. So we got DH, starting pitcher, relief pitcher coming up in the next few weeks. So let's go ahead and take a look at number 10. Yes, I still have George Springer in the top 10. I've seen some of these lists where people are dropping him down. I still like him. I don't think he's at 1 anymore, or elite, like he was with the Astros, but he's still pretty good. He'll still get you that 20 and 80. I don't think like the 30 home runs, 100 anymore, but he's still pretty impressive, I think, considering all things. Still very good. Still got that good throwing arm in right field. He's pretty good. I've always liked him in the playoffs as well. So that's a guy I think they're going to be lucky to have. I definitely still putting him in the top 10. I know some people are predicting a drop bigger than that, but I still like him, putting him in the top 10. Anthony Santander. Got a lot of Orioles on these lists as well. Santander's production is undeniable when he's healthy. This guy is automatically 20 plus, 80 home run, 20, 80 guy when healthy. No such thing. He's really streaky at the plate. That's the only thing that kind of drives you nuts about him, because he'll for sure have funks of like 1 for 30 or then he'll have a month where everything's going on Utah Street. So a bit streaky as a hitter, but outstanding stuff from Anthony Santander. Good in the outfield, as long as he can stay healthy. Not at all worried about his production. Should be hitting third in the Oriole lineup. Anthony Santander. This guy's always been better than what you thought. Nick Castellanos. Again, kind of in the 20-80 area at this point, but he's outstanding for the Phillies in the lineup. So definitely, you can tell you how much they think of him. They're no longer playing Bryce Harper in the outfield, and they're really having him be their guy in the outfield that they're really counting on. So that tells you what they think of him. Definitely a guy. He hasn't always had. He's had a couple of seasons when I looked at it where it was down, but he's usually right around that 20-80 area as well. Had a couple of seasons where he's better than that. Still fairly young. He's not like he's 40 years old or anything. Definitely, I think he can definitely produce. This is a strong lineup. You got lots of protection in the lineup. It's a very good hitter, good defensively. Better than you think he is. Lots of potential here. Some people might say I'm overrating him, but this guy's really good. I love his swing. Always with a baseball player, how does the swing look? Not everybody's going to be Will Clark or Daryl Strawberry, and it's going to look gorgeous, or Griffey Jr. or whatever. But his swing, I really like. Really like his swing. I don't know if he's going to be a monster power hitter, but everything else is good. I could absolutely see him jumping up and getting more home runs. He's gotten better his first 2 years of the league as well. So I definitely think the Cubs there are happy to have him. Number 7, Suzuki, Cesar Suzuki. Now we're in massive production here potential. Alderellis Garcia. He had over 30 home runs last year, and I don't see any reason why he can't continue that production. Certainly in that lineup that they have. Look, you got Corey Seager in the lineup. You got Marcus Semien there. This is the guy, and this guy really brings the thunder. Even with those guys, plate presence is this guy. I know you sabermetric guys don't like plate presence and all that stuff, but this guy absolutely has it. Plate presence, definitely has it at the plate. I don't see any reason why he's not hitting over 30 home runs as well. Dark horse for MVP. Dark horse. It wouldn't come from nowhere for me with the production that he's been putting up in Texas that he could do that. Not saying he is, but it wouldn't shock me either. This guy wouldn't shock me. He's in a way, it almost feels like he's underachieved only because of the expectation that he's had. But moved to right field, started out as a shortstop. Just got to stay healthy on the field. That's the only thing. But 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, you can pencil it in. His swing is just terrific. I think he's definitely could be in the conversation. Again, if he wins MVP, it wouldn't shock me. Definitely, he has all the hitting tools are absolutely there. He did have the long suspension. Put him in right field. I thought that was a little weird that they kind of gave up on him at shortstop, but no real problem with it again. He's outstanding. He's pretty good outfielder as well. Not bad at all. And definitely guy is going to get you 30 home runs and 100 RBI. Got to stay healthy. Miss some time with some injuries. That's the only reason that he's not a little bit higher. Sky's the limit again here. Corbin Carroll. I think he stayed in left field, I think he would have been 1. But in right field, I think that's the right place for him. Definitely power hitter that's ascending. The National League Rookie of the Year. Definitely for years and years and years, I think he's going to be the luggage carrier for the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks will have a really good team. I think he is the centerpiece offensively for many years for them. Nothing but good things to say about Corbin Carroll going forward. Huge contract right away. They knew it right away before he even stepped foot on the field a whole lot. Kyle Tucker. This guy is, I have him 3 on this list. This is one, I think, the best position in baseball in terms of talent, and I think he's still underrated. Kyle Tucker is terrific. Kyle Tucker has been good with the Astros for years. They had George Springer out there. You have Alvarez. They just gave a lot of money again to Altuve. So he kind of gets overshadowed, and all he's done is hit great from minute 1. 30 home runs, production, 100 RBIs plus production. And I can tell you what, he's been, even as a rookie, he's good in the playoffs immediately. Like, the moment's never too big for him. I think he could go down as one of the best postseason players in baseball history. He's got that type of talent. So Kyle Tucker is tremendous. I think Kyle Tucker is terrific. Juan Soto has a Padres uniform on, but he's going to be playing for the sorry Yankees this year. He's going to pull them out of the abyss a little bit. I think hitting him next to Judge, yeah, there's no way he doesn't have a tremendous year. He kind of started out slow the last couple years for whatever reason. That's the only negative on him. Now, you look at the end of the year, and the production is terrific. He still had 30 plus on runs, 100 RBIs. Average was kind of low. You would always kind of worry about Soto a little bit. I did a couple videos last year with Soto. I was like, what's going on, man? The production was kind of low with him, but I think he's really, really good. That's the only thing. That's the only thing stopping him from really being an Aaron Judge or whatever. He kind of had slow starts the first 2 years. But he can prevent that. I mean, he's definitely has all the talent in the world. MVP level production again, no question here. Juan Soto in the lineup with Judge. Either one of those guys could be the MVP. And number one, no question, Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves. How good is this Braves team? Man, look at this list. I mean, there are different players on every list, and this might be the best of all, the National League MVP, Ronald Acuna. I was so excited when I was younger watching Jose Canseco do a 40-40 season, right? 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases. Are you kidding me with this guy? 40 home runs and 70 steals? That's bananas. Like, that's a beyond a career year for anybody. Tremendous speed, tremendous power, tremendous defensively. A plus in every single area. Had it not been for Shohei, this is the best player in all of baseball. No question about it. So Ronald Acuna, number one for the Atlanta Braves. I don't say your Atlanta Braves, but that's the Baltimore Orioles. So your Baltimore Orioles and the Atlanta Braves. Braves I watched a lot as a kid because they were on TBS. They used to have dating my own self here, but the Braves used to be on cable TV, which is almost dating myself nowadays. But they used to have Braves games on every night. They were the only other team besides the Orioles, if you had TBS and cable, where you could watch the Braves every night. They were lousy for years in the 80s, but you could watch Braves games every game. That was before MLB TV and the internet and all that other stuff. They were the only team you could really watch every day. I think the Mets were one too. They were on the cable system for a while, but yeah, before you could really watch the Braves all the time. So there you go. Top 10 right fielders in Major League Baseball as well. So next week we're going to go ahead and get that squared away as well, and look at everything with there at the DH as we go towards baseball season. Since you brought it up, baseball season. Let's do our second Orioles spring training report. So last week did a couple spring training reports. Last week, pitchers and catchers reporting. Now we got the full roster at camp as well. And also, too, we got spring games here. So let's go ahead and check it out. Spring games. Since again, you brought it up. Orioles win their first spring game against the Red Sox, 4-3. Colton Cowser in extra innings gets the walk-off home run as well. Corbin Burns pitched in that game. He pitched 1 inning in that. He got his first start in that game as well. Heard nothing good things about Burns so far. We know how good he is. There's no question about Burns about that. So they've had some injury issues with some other pitchers. Looked really good. Burns has looked really good here so far. So nothing bad. No, in his case, no news is good news because you're certainly not worried about his talent or anything of the sort. Colton Cowser got the walk-off in the first game. I think Colton Cowser is going to make the team. We will see here so far. Next week, we're going to do a little bit more with stats, but they just kind of started. So we will see. We're at the point where we can get more into rumors and all that other stuff. I'm sorry. Cole Irvin pitched in his first spring game in the second game, and he pitched 2 innings. All good news about Cole Irvin. So look, he's going to get another shot now. Cole Irvin is going to be in the rotation again at the start. Him and Tyler Wells. They've been starting these games. They're going to go ahead and start. They've looked really good here so far. So yeah, they're going to go ahead and start at the start here. Wells and Irvin, see how well they do in the spring here. But I think they start pretty much regardless in the start. I don't think the minor league guys, they're going to go ahead and send them down. So it's going to be Irvin and Wells probably at the start here. Craig Kimbrell had his, it says yesterday, but I did that in a couple days ago. He had his live batting practice session cut short, about 5 pitches, due to some tightness in the lower body. Just being precautionary. I didn't hear anything serious about Kimbrel. He's been back out there. I think in spring training sometimes these guys are still getting ready, still getting their bodies ready, still getting things ready to go. So you don't want to take any chances. If you have any tightness or anything like that, or anything, it could go bad. You don't want to go ahead and set yourself back or whatever. So just kind of wait a couple days sometimes. Still waiting on Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar has a minor injury and still hasn't played yet in spring training. So keep that in mind. Gunnar, they did the split squad, and I noticed, okay, well, where's Gunnar? He's not on either squad. So you're still kind of waiting. Again, I think it's more precautionary. They haven't come out and said anything that was serious yet about Gunnar, where, okay, we're worried about something, or he's, it's all precautionary, it looks like, with Gunnar here at the start. So they're not, again, kind of the same thing with Kimbrel. You're not going to do anything yet that's going to go ahead and, have any setbacks. We're here early in the spring. No reason to go ahead and do that. Good news. Dylan Tate pitched well after missing all last season. So that was on Tuesday, where Dylan Tate out there at the, interested to see how he factors in. He was really, really good in 2022. He was really one of the three guys in the back end there. Him, Perez, and Batista was a really strong back end. So he really didn't get a chance to pitch at all. Interested to see how he factors in. So he needs a good spring to go ahead and see it and go ahead and secure his roster spot. One more thing, no graphic for it as well. Grayson Rodriguez pitched in the game as well. Grayson, again, has been fine. Grayson, they said, looked really nasty even at the start. So good opportunity here for Grayson. You're not going to have Kyle Bradish here at the start. So Grayson probably is going to be the number 2 starter for you at the beginning. So you're definitely going to have Burns opening day, and then you're going to have Rodriguez and then Kramer. That'll probably be your first series against the Angels as well in the first series. So we will definitely check that out and monitor that situation. All right. Thank you very much for joining us this week on the Ravery Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast. If this podcast was of value to you, like and subscribe to all of our social media content. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great rest of your day.